Hi, my name is Carla Sumala, and I, along with my colleague Andrew Broderick, serve as project directors for the SF Tech Council. The Tech Council, which officially launched in 2015, was formed to advance digital inclusion for older adults and people with disabilities in San Francisco. It's actually the first organization of its kind in the United States. Today, the Tech Council membership includes leaders from over 25 private businesses, city agencies, and community-based organizations, as well as from academia, philanthropy, and healthcare. In addition, we have a wide network of friends and supporters throughout the city. Thank you for joining us today. This spring, the Tech Council had the privilege of collaborating with the Fung Fellowship Program at the University of California, Berkeley. We worked with 10 undergraduate students on 2 different projects related to digital literacy for older adults. They presented their work at our May 20th meeting. Let's get started as the students tell us about the projects they worked on.
Our team designed a tool that accurately measures the digital skills of older adults. One of these older adults is Layla. Layla is 60 years old and has lived in San Francisco for the past 20 years. She works as a bakery assistant at Boudin Bakery, and her job requires standing for hours. It has become painful and exhausting. Layla would like to transition to a desk job, but she needs more digital skills.
She visits the library to learn and explore computer learning resources, and the librarian has her take an assessment to see which of the classes is the most appropriate. Layla's never used a computer before, let alone taken an assessment on one. When she sits down in front of the computer, she's fearful of messing up or breaking something. Layla is hesitant to even begin the exam because of the overwhelming amount of information on the screen. She doesn't know how to use the mouse and doesn't understand the meaning of all the little symbols on the screen. English is Layla's second language, so she doesn't completely understand all the questions, especially those with complicated computer jargon. After completing the assessment, Layla receives a daunting list of all the questions that she missed. She doesn't understand her results and has no idea what to do next. She knows she needs to learn, or she knows what she needs to learn, but has no idea how to learn it.
Layla shares this experience with a friend who recommends that she try the Tenderloin Tech Lab program. When Layla arrives at the program, she takes a moment to look around. She sees her peers talking and laughing with each other and with the coaches and teachers. Other people are taking the assessment, and Layla understands that she's not alone in this learning process. She even speaks with a current student about how the training has helped them. Layla is asked to take a different assessment called Confidently Digital. It's a personalized digital literacy assessment for older adults. The coach helps her set up the program with her ideal font size and preferred language. She is also given the option to listen to the instructions instead of reading. The coach lets her know how to change her preferences at any time. Layla is able to choose where to start and is finally able to learn how to use a mouse. Each icon has text that describes its function, so Layla is now able to understand all of the little symbols. The assessment includes a progress bar and words of encouragement to keep her motivated throughout, even when she feels that she doesn't know something.
Layla appreciates all the questions related to her confidence and problem-solving skills, as well as her ability to learn these foreign technology skills. After completing the questionnaire, she's presented with a summary of her strengths and general areas for improvement. The coach receives a more detailed report with a checklist of skills and information about Layla's learning style and recommendations for how to best support her. Layla participates in the technology training workshop every week. After completing the program, she finds a job as a secretary at a doctor's office where she schedules appointments and manages confidential patient information on the computer.
Layla is not alone in her experience. In fact, 40% of older adults in San Francisco do not have basic digital literacy skills. Every person's needs are different, and assessments should highlight these strengths. Confidently Digital does exactly that by providing a holistic view and accessible directions to ensure that older adults succeed professionally.
Our team has created a toolkit document that presents our key findings from our research and interviews and secondary research, as well as best practices. We've also included a detailed list of questions that we feel should be included on the assessment to best equip people for skills in the workforce. You can refer to this toolkit to understand how our interviews with experts, literature reviews, and analyses of existing assessments inform the design of this new assessment. And lastly, we want to address how we see this assessment moving forward. In a typical design process, our research would have focused extensively on the experience of potential users. Unfortunately, we were not able to incorporate this key design process due to the pandemic. So we do feel it's incredibly important that some user engagement and user input is used to finalize this product whenever it is safe to do so. Then we believe that it should undergo some usability testing and finally implementation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This team has been really great, and thanks to the organizations that they have listed on the screen right now that have helped them out significantly in terms of providing information. If you have questions, pop them in the chat box. But I'll get us started. Erin, I don't know who wants to field this, but as you've thought about this, what did you as undergraduates find most interesting about this project? What surprised you? What was most interesting to you?
I can go ahead and start off. So personally, I felt like the most interesting part of this to me was, I guess, the sheer statistics of the issue. I had no idea that this was such a prevalent problem within the Bay Area specifically, and I was kind of astounded that no solutions had been generated, particularly to target older adults. So I guess that was one of the most interesting parts for me, was kind of the fact that it was not addressed, and I felt like we were able to do some real research and real meaningful help.
Excellent. Others?
Yeah, I can go ahead. I think one thing that was interesting to me was to think about the kind of breadth of skill levels that our potential users could have. So in our presentation, we had a fictional character who didn't know how to use a mouse, but a potential user could also be really, skilled with computer knowledge and maybe have more trouble with mobile phones. So I think in the design process, it was like a challenge to kind of think about those, that range of skills. I think in past projects, when we think about our users, they usually have the same amount of skills. So that was, I think, something interesting for us to delve into.
I did get a question that just came in. Courtney is asking, is there a link to the full list of questions to assess digital literacy skills? Is that something you developed along the way, or do you have a working list of things that you would start off with in terms of assessing?
Yeah, we have a working list, and I am not, can we link it in the chat? Would that be possible?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So we will link it in the chat. This is, of course, a working list, and can and should be updated based on user needs and usability testing. And I guess our surprising findings in terms of what to ask to understand where to start. Just to clarify on that question, is that to understand where to start this particular list of questions, or how we started our project itself?
Perfect. All right. Let's see. I think,
Carla,
yes, go ahead.
I can't make my chat work, so when you get through the written questions, I have one as well.
Okay, why don't you finish us off, Anne, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I was curious about how long it took with someone to do this. And did you have a sense, or did the staff at the center have a sense of how many a person could do? Because I'm assuming it has to be a one-to-one, is that right? Or did you think this could be done in a group?
We believed that this should be done one-to-one,
Okay.
especially with the less confident users in order to best support them.
Got it.
And we have not yet had the opportunity to go through the whole assessment with an actual user.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I thought I misunderstood. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say, it is terrific that you did this project. Absolutely terrific.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And as they noted there, take a look at what they've got. They've got the document, they've got all kinds of information. Their research is up and it's fabulous, fabulous stuff. And we hope to continue on with their great work. Thank you so much. Let's jump to the second team here.
Hi, Carla. I'll be sharing slides.
Excellent.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul, and I'm working with, oh, sorry about that. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm working with Julia, Christina, Lindsay, and Wajiha, and we'd like to share a project with the SF Tech Council. We are participants of the Fung Fellowship at UC Berkeley, a program that brings students together to complete team-based design challenges, exploring the spaces of public health, technology, and innovation. Carla and Andrew came to us with the recurring issue that their partners had observed within their participant basis. When seeking employment or starting a new job, many of these individuals face tech-related concerns but are afraid to ask for help. Because this lack of confidence and skills can serve as a barrier to employment, the SF Tech Council is interested in developing an accessible mentorship program with approachable coaches. This brings us to our team's How Might We? How might we support community organizations seeking to provide training and mentorship to older adults facing basic technology-related challenges in their jobs? We started with primary research, interviewing leaders of community organizations and participants of older adult employment assistant programs. As part of our secondary research, we looked into existing digital literacy and mentorship programs and academic articles that provided insights on the effectiveness of such issues. Using the information we gathered from both interviews and secondary research, we summarized some key insights about what makes a digital training program effective. Mentorship, for example, gives participants opportunities to make interpersonal connections with mentors who can get to know participants deeply. Given the diversity of ways that people learn best, we found that participants of a digital literacy program benefit most from a combination of interactive teaching methods. These can include in-person tutorials or team-based projects. Thus, co-designing a personalized curriculum with each participant allows the understanding that individuals come from different skill levels and personal goals.
As a part of our solution, we have compiled a set of short-term online recommendations and long-term in-person recommendations for our stakeholders. For older adults interested in digital literacy in the short term, we found that many organizations have created online learning modules that address basic tech skills, which have become valuable sources of knowledge during the COVID pandemic. For educators, we found that companies with employee assistance programs have created digital literacy curricula that are accessible online and could be incorporated into a customized curriculum for each older adult's needs. We also recognize that many older adults lack access to a computer or Wi-Fi, and that to take advantage of online resources assumes their prior knowledge of how to navigate the internet. In light of the COVID pandemic, prototyping a mentorship program was not feasible. However, based on our research and insights, we were able to develop an in-person mentorship program that can be utilized by organizations to improve digital education access for low-income older adults and build their confidence with these skills. To start off the program, a user is paired with a mentor who they meet with one-on-one. They work together to develop a personalized learning plan based on the user's needs, goals, and existing skills. From here, the user will attend weekly group sessions at the computer lab. Groups will be created based on similar tech-related challenges. Sessions will consist of a video lesson to expose participants to online resources and a hands-on activity applying what they just learned in the lesson. The purpose of a group setting is to foster an environment of peer-to-peer teaching, learning, and social connectedness. Our three main goals of this program were for it to be accessible by low-income older adults and for it to build confidence and intuition so older adults can have agency in tackling tech-related issues. Our methodology, secondary research, and recommendations for stakeholders can all be found in the toolkit that we compiled. You can find more detail about our key insights and our analyses of mentorship programs and our mentorship program in the toolkit, which we've linked in the chat. Lastly, for our project reflection, we would like to talk about the challenges we encountered and the immediate next steps SF Tech Council can take moving forward with our work. We recommend distributing the toolkit to organizations that work with older adults, as it can offer a lot of online resources that may be necessary as in-person literacy programs are currently inaccessible. We also recognize the importance of direct user research, but found it challenging to initiate these interviews in the current circumstances. Future steps for partner organizations that work with older adults would be to identify specific pain points in using digital tools and what kind of support older adults may be seeking. And additionally, we emphasize that the toolkit is a dynamic document and we're always looking for feedback to improve it. Thus, we also recommend creating a task force to continue the research that remains to be conducted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it's so helpful that you have images of everybody up so you can get a little bit of a sense of who you all are. In terms of starting off on questions, it hit me now. I've heard your earlier piece, but the digital literacy assessment and this program seem like they're almost perfectly paired to go along with each other. Somebody does the digital literacy assessment and then starts working with a peer tutor. I was wondering, and I'll start off here, did you think about the kind of training that a peer tutor would need? Is that something that came up in your research?
Yeah, we have a section of our toolkit that talks about what kind of characteristics we're looking for in a mentor and I guess places to look for mentors. One of the things that we found interesting and potentially useful for finding mentors who have gone through training and are held accountable for the quality of the mentorship is universities who have classes or clubs where students learn how to mentor elementary and middle school age students, but also older adults. I know Berkeley has a club like that, and they have a lot of resources when it comes to mentoring people to be mentors.
Excellent. I'm taking a look. There's a question, what was the methodology for pairing mentors and mentees? Like, how would you match them up in terms of that piece? A little bit, you'd mentioned that. Let's see if there's other questions that people have. Just checking the piece. I will ask, as I asked the other group, what did you notice? What was surprising to you in your research? What did you find interesting or unusual or jumped out at you?
I can try and jump into first Erin's question about the methodology for pairing mentors and mentees, and then get into that question that you just asked, Carla. I think we've looked a lot into the best way to pair mentors and mentees and looked especially at best practices from existing mentorship programs. I think some of the things, as we mentioned in the toolkit, to emphasize are conducting a sort of background assessment of both the mentors and mentees beforehand and trying to match them based on socioeconomic status, background, skills, and objectives. of both the participants and the mentors. So kind of a comprehensive matching assessment, I think, or matching process would be ideal. And then personally for me, I think one of the most surprising things through conducting this project was really the plethora of free online resources for digital literacy for older adults and general population. But at the same time, the kind of difficulty that we noticed with a lot of them in that like even taking a training on how to use a computer is really difficult to do unless users have some sort of initial experience or background or someone to show them how to access the training in order to be able to access these free online resources.
Those are exactly things that we've noted as well. It's like, how do you get to that first step seems to be really challenging. Others in your group, in terms of surprises, things that were particularly interesting?
Yeah, I can mention something that was surprising for me. So as we talked about in the presentation, we weren't able to talk to that many older adults and users because of this COVID situation. So luckily we were able to talk to professionals through Zoom and other ways, talk to people who actually work with older adults, and they gave us a lot of insights about how, especially tech works within older adults and also just SF in particular. And one thing that stood out to me was how SF is such a tech hub. So that's why a lot of jobs don't really give them the training, for example, like the basic technology training. So then older adults within SF especially really struggle with these basic parts of tech that hopefully our program and the solution to this issue will be solved with that issue, with that aspect of it.
One last question. Here's a great question. Were you able to talk to anyone with disabilities? In other words, people who needed assistive or adaptive technology?
I can answer that. We were not able to interview somebody with direct disabilities. We did talk to people who financially were, dependent upon the program, and I think that gave us a lot of good key insights into how important digital literacy is.
I also wanted to add on that I think something that we really wanted to have work in our project was sort of the personalized nature of it, because based on one of our interviews, our participant said that she has trouble with very specific things in the workplace, like when she first got the job that she's in now, it was like Outlook and Excel and things like that. But in my conversation with Alex Bond from SF Digital Equity, he said that there are older adults who are really interested in e-commerce and how to get like a small business going. And so I think that any digital literacy program needs to account for everyone's unique goals and interests and background. And so we weren't able to talk to anyone with disabilities, but I think that for an effective program, it would be able to adapt to people with disabilities and what they need.
Yeah, and I would just like to quickly mention that, as Christina mentioned earlier, there are plenty of programs currently available that teach older adults digital literacy skills, and yet this is such a big issue. And we realized that the need wasn't really being met for the user that we had in mind. And so when we were designing our Skills for Success program, we really wanted to keep our user in mind. And that's sort of what helped to shape our three main goals, which were to have it be accessible by low-income older adults, and for it to help build confidence and intuition so that older adults can have the agency to tackle these tech-related issues later on their own.
You all are amazing, and you hit on all of these issues that we have noted and that people who are here online have seen daily in their own experience. We can't wait to continue to work with Fung Fellows again, as well as really think more deeply about what you've presented to us. Thank you all so much. This is fabulous.